Hello there again. This is Dr. Moafi, a PhD in Applied Linguistics, and I'm going to speak about discourse markers, a very important concept in linguistics or in language studies. They may come under different names, whether you know them as pragmatic markers, discourse signals, transitions, I don't know, cohesive connectors, whatever name you may ascribe to them or you know them under this category, we tend to call them discourse markers here in this video, and they are words and short phrases that in fact connect ideas, sentences, clauses, words. They signal relationships and they guide the listener or the reader through any piece of text or conversation. That is why we call it discourse. Discourse is any piece of utterance, whether they come in the form of oral, let's say, utterance or in the form of writing. They don't add any content themselves, in and of themselves, but they help us with the text and the conversation and the speech with cohesion, structure, and the speaker's stance, tone. Sometimes they shift the subject. They can indicate turn taking, focus, contrast, cause, effect, sequence, emphasis, and many more, right? These are the main functions, in fact, of the discourse markers, and just one example for each. If we use discourse markers to signal consequence or, let's say, conclusion or result, here's the example. It may be clarified through the example much more. Like, for example, it started to rain, so we left early. So, what is this so? It's a discourse marker, right? It, talks about or signal and show the conclusion of the first sentence. It actually guides the reader or the listener that we are talking about, for example, cause and effect or a consequence, a conclusion of the previous, talk. Well, sometimes we use discourse markers to signal what? Contrast or expectations, such as, for example, but, right? Like, I like the plan, but it's quite risky, okay? Well, again, here we are talking about contrast. Another one is showing us about stance, or they manage our conversation. Like they show, for example, attitude or hesitation or turn taking. Look at this example, please. Well, I'm not sure that's the right approach. I'm not sure. I don't know. You are talking about your hesitation here, okay? Another one is about, let's say, parallel actions or time shift. Like, for example, that connects actions happening simultaneously or in sequence, one after the other. Like this example. She'll handle the intro. Meanwhile, I'll prepare these slides. All right? So there are two people. One of them is handling or doing another activity, and I do the other one, which is the, for example, presentation slides. All right? So meanwhile means simultaneously or at the same time. So again, this word is a discourse marker, is a kind of connective. Well, another one is about topic shift or change or return to the main point. Like, for example, anyway, we have talked about a subject. Now we're going to change to another thing. So we are changing the topic. Back to the budget. Anyway, back to the budget. We need to cut costs. Another one, shows emphasis or correction. Look at this example. I actually finished the report yesterday. Actually. You want to correct someone that told you, for example, you haven't done your work or report. But you want to say, well, actually, in fact, I did, right? So it shows either the emphasis that you did something or you want to correct the speaker's point of view. Another discourse marker shows sequence or ordering, like first, second, then, after that, afterward, finally, like this example, first, gather data, next, analyze it, finally, present the findings, you see? Another one talks about illustration or example. The best ones are examples or, let's say, for instance, like this example, there are several options, for example, X, Y, and Z, okay? Another one of them, in fact, talks about or shows hedging. What does hedging mean? It means that you want to just, make it less certain, all right? It shows uncertainty or a little bit of confusion or stands toward the information being given. Like this example, the so-called experts claim it's safe, but I'm skeptical, all right? So, but here talks about a little bit uncertainty, okay? Or even the so-called one. Well, topic management or transition phrases. Well, they talk about, let's say, the management of the topic or the flow of talk, and also transitional phrases or signals, like they guide our discussion flow or the flow of our conversation and text. Like at this, for example, moving on to the next item, we'll review the timeline. Moving on to the, all right? So it means that we are changing the topic, or we are managing the topic, or we are actually shifting or transitioning the topic. Well, another one, or the last one that you want to say, is about summary or wrap up. Uh, like this example, to sum up, in summary, our main goals are clear and achievable. So to summarize my point, or in sum, which is a discourse marker again, discourse markers organize speech or writing, they manage the flow of ideas, they express attitude, our attitude, or guide the listener and reader through the discourse. Thank you very much for watching again, and don't forget to like and subscribe.